The Grow My Cleaning Company podcast helps owners of cleaning companies just like you to grow your company and yourself so you can make more money and finally get the time and money freedom that probably got you into this business. Discover how to automate and create systems that allow you to grow like crazy without losing control. If you dig the show and want to show some love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It really helps. Enjoy the show.
Hello, Clean Nation. Tracey Thompson here, and I am here with Sarah Gaborik. Gaborik. Oh, see, I'm already screwing it up. It's early here. Give us a break. All right. We are here to chat about some really cool stuff today. Super excited. So let's just dive right in, shall we, Sarah?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let me just do a little quick intro for Sarah here. Sarah Gaborik, I said it right that time, started Coastal Cleaning Crew in January 2020, relatively new, in Indian Rocks Beach, Florida. I had to slow that one down.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
You're right. And she specializes in vacation rentals and residential. And a little fun fact about Sarah, and this is kind of right in time for Halloween, since Halloween was officially yesterday, but we'll just call it the Halloween month. Sarah likes to collect carnivorous plants. Very interesting. I like it. So, Miss Sarah, tell Clean Nation what your biggest fail has been since you started the business. What's your biggest fail?
There have been so many things that probably get pretty close on the list, but in hindsight, honestly, I still even have a hard time considering it a true fail, but it definitely caused me a lot of grief really early on. And it was not knowing how to train the people I was hiring.
Oh,
yeah, that was really impactful. It led to, honestly, the first at least probably 14 months of just misery, because I couldn't get results from really anybody. I was like, I know how to do this. How come I can't teach somebody else how to do it? And later on, I realized that there's no such thing as common sense and nothing goes without being said. But building actual systems for that with the knowledge that I have these days is what's really turned that around. And not just in the training aspect, but the quality control aspect, because we are still humans, right?
Yes. So that's really interesting. And I'm sure that there are a lot of business owners, a lot of cleaning company owners out there that have experienced something similar of feeling like, well, I know this business. I know how to do this. It's just common sense, right? I should be able to easily train other people. So when did you have that big, okay, I have to change this moment? What was that like? And what did you do to correct it? How did you take action?
In the very beginning of that moment, when I was like, I can't do this anymore this way, it was actually incredibly stressful. I probably almost threw in the towel a couple of times, because I was like, I don't have a clue how to do this. I just don't. And I had no idea where to start. But I had nothing written down. And I was like, maybe I can start there. And that only happened when I hired who is currently my most senior cleaner, because once I had finally figured out how to actually better explain what was the expectation, still without having anything written down, she comes along and I'm trying to train her, and it's the verbal cues couldn't reach her in a stack. If I gave her 3 or 4 or 5 verbal cues, she would get maybe 1 or 2 of them. And I thought back to myself, and I'm like, I learn differently than other people. So other people have to learn differently from me. I learn from examples and being shown, how to do things. Or even just monkeying around with it myself and figuring out how to do it. I'm a very hands-on learner. And this employee was the exact opposite of that. She was she learned best from having things written down, hence where, the systems really started being born. And oh boy, they were so messy. In the beginning, they were so messy. I think I wrote like a 14-page manual on how to clean. And I actually still have it to this day. And every once in a while, I'll give it to somebody. I'm like, here, just in case you want all of my brain babies, they're in this, and some of them are like, this little tidbit right here. So like even my existing systems can still grow.
And I love that. I love that you started with, and what you said something really important, that people learn differently, right? And so I know inside when you came through our program, our elite program, one of the core steps or modules is around automating and creating duplicatable, scalable training systems, right? Onboarding and training systems for employees, aside from the whole hiring funnel and all that you learned. How have you found that what you learned as you went through Elite has helped you evolve or augment or grow that system?
It's definitely helped grow it in probably more ways than I can truly articulate, because it was kind of explosive the way that it happened and the way that it changed. And I still give micro bits to the team, and every single time I give them something new, they're so excited, and I feel so much better, because like I've always wanted nothing more but to set them up for success, and that was not happening for the longest time. And all of a sudden I'm giving them the pieces that they need to be more successful. And it actually, I see it in their face when I hand them these things. And I'm like, I am still building our training videos. So I start with my 1.0 of giving them like the written thing, which ultimately becomes a script for the training video, right?
Yes. I love that.
Pretty much. But since that can be a little time consuming, I've got so many hats to wear. I start by, getting that out of my head on a paper, and I hand it over to them, and they're like, wow, this is perfect. This is the little bit of information that we needed to move forward and be more successful in this area. And that's really rewarding for me, because I get to actually watch them grow, not just as cleaners, but as people too. So
I love that. And I know we emphasize so much about building culture and having your core values, and, that comes first. But once you have core values match people, and all of you out there in Clean Nation, if you've had challenges with hiring and training and keeping people, it does start with core values, right, Sarah?
It really does. That has made the biggest difference in and of itself as well. Having people that are like-minded and are actually interested in this whole process as my company is growing and developing. And I, like I said, I get to hand them the things that they need, and they're like, yes, as of before, hiring people that had some kind of background experience in cleaning that mattered this much to me. I couldn't get them to just do things the way that we were supposed to do them. So they weren't the right match for my company and my team.
Right. So what I hear you saying is that when you started hiring core values matched people, then I would assume then the training that you're giving them is one thing. But if they have the wrong attitude, if they're like not in alignment, it doesn't matter how much instruction you're giving them. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. Like it doesn't matter if they're not here for everything that the company is offering them, and they're just here to grab a paycheck, like so many people are, like then they don't put in the same kind of compassion that our core value matches do.
What do you say to all those frustrated cleaning company owners out there right now that maybe don't have a hiring system or a hiring funnel, maybe don't have that best practices, training, dashboard, all the cool stuff that you've developed? What would you say is the most important thing for them to do first when it comes, because it sounds like you really started dialing this in. What's the first thing that they should do?
I think that they should, on a very first, if they want to change the type of people that they're bringing into their organization and the way that they react to the organization, I think the very first thing that they need to do is look at themselves, because I like saying this because, once upon a time I was a solo cleaner and I was the business. And when I stopped being a solo cleaner and I started hiring people, I was like, I'm not the business. All of my reviews say Sarah's great, but I want my company to be great. Right. And so I tried trying to separate myself from the identity of the business, but you have to look at yourself and understand who you are and how you function. And because you are still the business, it's just another branch of yourself. It operates the way that you operate as a person. And that's why you come and discover your core values.
Yes. Back to core values. But you said something really important, and I want to just pull that out and really highlight that when you're a solo cleaner, for example, and you haven't gotten fully out of the cleaning, out of the field, that your personal identity is tied up with the identity of the business. But you said something really important, that really you need to separate your personal identity. Like, it can't just be about you, or you'll never grow, because there can't be, unless we invent cloning anytime soon, there's not going to be another Sarah. There's not going to be another you out there, Clean Nation, if you're the only one cleaning. So when you stepped away from it being all about Sarah on the front end, then you could become Sarah, the business owner, right? Yeah. Working on the business instead of in the business.
Absolutely. I
love that. Well, let's see. So what would you say is your biggest takeaway? You've been with us for a little bit. What would you say your biggest aha or takeaway has been that surprised you and that you would like Clean Nation to know about?
I love this part because it was a really, really big takeaway for myself. And it actually will also relate very well to the people that you hire and the way that you train them. Because I like to sugarcoat stuff, but you can't grow when you're comfortable. It doesn't happen. And I've made a lot of uncomfortable decisions, and I'm still not super awesome at making uncomfortable decisions. I might sit on them for 3 days before I'm finally like, all right, rip that Band-Aid off. But, I have come to understand and appreciate that when I feel as heavy as I do about a decision, that it's really important and it's going to keep leveling us up.
I love that. So that's a writer downer, everybody that's listening right now. Seriously, Sarah just dropped some gold, and I just want to pull that out just in case you missed what she said. What she said was that really her surprise, her aha was that being uncomfortable, like being comfortable with being uncomfortable, making uncomfortable decisions, that growth is always outside your comfort zone, that you don't grow when you're comfortable. I know that's like so counter, like we're like, oh, but I just want to have a comfortable life. I just want to get to a place where I'm comfortable. Like, I get it. We talk about this a lot, right? We all want more ease, but the interesting, funny thing is, you're absolutely right, Sarah, that we grow the most. We get the most insight and satisfaction, frankly, when we get uncomfortable, where we lean into the uncomfortable decisions or the ones that push us so that we grow. Wow, that's a really big piece of advice. So everyone out there, I just did a podcast recently on decision making, interestingly enough. And I just want to reiterate that how important it is. And Sarah is a great example of how she's grown so much because she's been willing to get into that uncomfortable space, get out of her comfort zone and push herself. And it reflects and shows in the growth that she's made. Okay, well, this is our little lightning round. One piece of advice, like a tool, something that a book, a growth, anything like that maybe Clean Nation might not have thought of top of mind that you'd like to share with everyone?
I actually found myself in a place where at one point I was like super like desperate, not desperate, but exhausted. And I found an audiobook, probably can be gotten in a book form as well, but I listened to the audiobooks at the time I was still cleaning. It's called Permission to Screw Up. And this woman, she wrote the book. I'm not going to tell the entire story, but she literally started her cleaning company by accident. And that kind of actually resonates with me. And she made so many mistakes along her journey, but it was such an inspirational story. And that is what lit the fire under my butt to actually, like we were just talking about, get uncomfortable, make the decisions, and do things to push my business to continue to grow. Because, like I said, I was in such a sad moment when I found that audiobook, and it really just lit a fire under my butt. And I was like, well, at least I haven't made that mistake yet. As I'm listening to it, a couple months later, I made that mistake.
Oh no! So, well, this just goes to show everybody, we have a saying around here: don't worry, be crappy. Do your crappy 1.0 version. And it speaks so perfectly to that whole concept of leaning into the suck, right? It's just being willing to screw up. I love that. And that's so important, because here's the truth. If we cling to this totally ineffective, self-destructive notion that that we have to be a perfectionist, so that we have to get it right all the time, is such an enemy of our growth and our progress. And I think that's one of I've never heard that before. So say the name of the book again.
It's called Permission to Screw Up. I can't remember the author's name, but it is.
She owned a cleaning company?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, it was really funny because she owned a cleaning company without even actually having a business entity. And I don't want to give away all of the details because it's such a good story. Honestly, you have to listen to it, because if you're like, things can be great, but things can be greater. Like, this book is really what helped me say, I can do this. If this woman could do this, I could do this. She was a college student.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love hearing Clean Nation. I love when we have a new angle, fresh new way to look at things. And Sarah, you have really shined a light on so many of those sort of dark spaces where I know a lot of Clean Nation, you've all probably felt this way at one time or another. Maybe you're feeling like this right now, like, just disheartened or frustrated. Hiring is hard right now. Whatever you've got going on. The other thing I know to be true is that we all tend to do more when we're being sort of held accountable. So having a community, having people around you to support you, to help you through those, shining the light on the blind spots and those dark spots, I think is super helpful. Start with the book. I love that. And if you would like to have that community support to finally break past that point where you're like, okay, I'm done being frustrated. I'm done running around in circles. Go to growmycleaningcompany.com. We have lots of free resources, free training there. And if you'd like to talk to one of our coaches, that's how Sarah started. That's how so many of the people that have come into our world have started. Please help yourself by allowing someone else to shine a light for you, with you, on those dark spots. So in conclusion, thank you so much, Sarah. And I think we need some pictures posted in the group of your carnivorous plants, because that's just...
I can share some of those. Oh, they're actually kind of starting to go into hibernation because they're a little ugly right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
They do that. It's getting cold outside. They're swamp plants. So...
that conjured up all kinds of cool, ghoulish images. I love it. I love it. All right, Clean Nation, thank you so much. And we will see you on the other side. Bye now.
Bye.
Well, here we are, the end of the podcast, and you made it. Great job. I've got a little bonus for you for sticking through with me, but like I mentioned before, if you got value out of this podcast and you want to show a little love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever the heck you're listening to this thing. Share with a friend, share the love. And as a special thank you for those of you that stuck with me to the end, how about I give you my personal phone number so we can text? It's a great way for me to get to know you, your business, your goals personally. So shoot me a text now, 602-932-6431. That's 602-932-6431. I am the only one who responds to these texts, and I will personally respond to everyone I possibly can as long as this number is manned. Don't know how long we're going to keep this at the end of the podcast, so grab it now, 602-932-6431. Give me a text, say hey, can't wait to meet you.